Good evening. My presentation is about reading inch depth micrometer. In the previous presentation, I have talked about reading metric depth micrometer, and now I'll talk about reading the inch depth micrometer. As you see in this photo, we have two scales. The first one is on the sleeve, which is called the main scale, and we have another scale at the edge of the thimble, which is called the auxiliary scale. Let's see the parts of the depth micrometer. This is the sleeve or the barrel. This is the thimble. We have the main scale on the sleeve, and see that the increase in the graduation lines in a reversed manner, so you should take care of this point. We have another scale, which is called the auxiliary scale, at the edge of the thimble. Here is the locking screw. Once you tighten this screw, you prevent the spindle and the thimble from moving and rotating. This is called the micrometer base. This is the spindle of the micrometer. This is the measuring face, which is the reference for the reading. At the back of the micrometer, we have the ratchet or the ratchet stop, and we use this ratchet stop in order to achieve the final touching between the front of the spindle and the surface we need to measure. This is the dimension to be measured by the micrometer. It is the distance between the measuring face and the edge of the spindle. We have a key spanner. We have two sides for this key spanner. One side is used for fixing the zero error once we have a zero error on this micrometer, and the other side is used in order to disassemble this micrometer in order to replace the spindle or the rod of the micrometer. Here we have some interchangeable extension rods with different range. If the maximum range of the micrometer is not enough, so we should replace the rod inside the micrometer by one of these rods. So once you insert one of these rods inside the micrometer, the rod extends. Even the reading on the micrometer is 0, so we should add the value of the extension in our final reading. This is the value of the resolution or the graduation of this depth micrometer. It is 1/1000th of an inch. Regarding the lines on the main scale and the auxiliary scale, see that the increase in the reading of this line is in this direction, from right to left. So in order to read these lines, for example, in order to read this line, which has number 7 above, it's read as 0.700 inch. Regarding this line, which is written 6 above, it is read as 0.600 inch. For this line, number 5 here, it is 0.500. For example, the meaning of 0.500, which is half an inch, it is exactly the distance between the 0 line on the main scale up to this line. So this is 0.5 of an inch, which is the same as 0.500. The line in the middle of the lines 4 and 5, it's read as 0.450 of an inch. This line, which is in the middle of the two lines 3 and 4, it is read as 0.350 of an inch. The first line after line number 3, this line, it is read as 0.325. See that the minimum graduation or minimum distance between two adjacent lines is simply 25 thousandths of an inch. Regarding the reading of the auxiliary scale, on the auxiliary scale we have 25 lines, so we should define the line which line up with the reference line. This is the reference line on the sleeve. So in this case, in our example here, in order to read the auxiliary scale, we should read this line, which is line number 17. So line number 17 is read as 17 thousandths of an inch. Let's understand how to define the correct line on the main scale we should read. As we see here in this photo, we have a cut away in order to, so that the lines under the thimble are shown. So which line should we read on the main scale? We should read the last hidden line, which is the closest to the edge of the thimble. So we should read this line. And this line is simply line 0.500 inch. See that the first line we see after the edge of the thimble is this line. But we shouldn't read this line. We should read the line, this line. So our reading here, which is the sleeve scale reading, is 0.500 of an inch. Let's have some examples in order to determine which line on the main scale we should read. Imagine that the dashed line represents the imaginary location of the thimble edge. For example, here, the line, the first line left to the edge is this line. This is a seen line to us, but we shouldn't read this line. We should read the last hidden line under the thimble, which is this line. So this line is line 0.250 of an inch. See that this distance here from here to here, it is 0.250 inch. From 0 till this line, number 2, it is 0.200, and 2 small graduation with 0.050, so it's 0.250 inches. Let's have another example here. See that the first line we see is this line, so we shouldn't read this line. We should read the last hidden line, which is the closest to the edge of the thimble, which is this line. So this line is read as 0.325. See that the distance between the 0 line on the main scale and this line is 0.300, and this short distance is equal to 0.025. So the reading of this line is 0.325 inch. Another example here. We should read this line on the main scale, and this line is line 0.675 inch. In this case here, we should read this line, and this line is simply 0.800 of an inch. For this example here, we should read this hidden line, which is 0.950 inch. So this is the way how to read the line of the main scale. Let's have some real situation. regarding the reading of the inch depth micrometer. For example, as you see here, the first line left to the edge of the thimble is this line. So we shouldn't read this line. We should read the last hidden line under the thimble, which is the closest to the edge of the thimble. So we should read this line. So this line is the middle line between number 2 and number 3. So it's 0.250 of an inch. So this is the reading of the main scale or the sleeve reading. Now we should read the thimble or the auxiliary scale. See that the line number 12 on the thimble edge lines up with the index or reference line. So line number 12 is read as 12 thousandths of an inch. So this is the thimble reading. Now the total reading is the sum up of these two values. So this is the main scale reading, and this is the thimble reading, and the total reading is 0.262 inch. Let's have another example here. See that the first line we see left to the edge is this line, but we shouldn't read this line. We should read the previous one. So this line is the first line after the line which is written number 4 above. So this sleeve reading is 0.425 inches. In order to read the thimble reading, see that line number 5 lines up with the index line. So line number 5 is read as 5 thousandths of an inch. So this is the thimble reading. So the total reading, this is the sleeve reading, and this is the thimble reading. So the total is 0.429 inches. Let's have another example. See here, before reading the main scale, see that the zero line at the edge of the thimble lines up exactly with the index line. So in this case, we are sure that the edge of the thimble exactly above line number 3. So we should read this line, and this line is simply line 0.300 inch. So this is the sleeve reading. Regarding the thimble reading, it is shown that it is 0, so the total reading is 0.300 inch. Let's have another example here and take care for this case. Before the reading, see that the zero line at the edge of the thimble is above the index line. So in this case, we are sure that the edge of the thimble exceed line number 3. See that when you rotate the thimble in this direction, so the thimble advances in this direction. So because the zero line is above the index line, so the edge of the thimble exceed line number 3. So we should read this line, which is line number 3. So the sleeve reading in this case is 0.300 inch. Regarding the thimble reading, line number 1 lines up with the index line. So line number 1 is read as 1 thousandth of an inch. So this is the thimble reading. So the total reading is 0.300 plus 0.001, which is 0.301 inches. Let's read this micrometer here. But again, see the location of the zero line at the thimble edge. Reference to the index line, it is below the index line. So in this case, the edge of the thimble does not exceed line number 4. So line number 4 is already shown clearly to us. So which line should we read? We should read the line before line number 4, which is this line. So this is the third line after line number 3. So it's read as 0.375 inch. So this is the sleeve reading. In order to read the thimble reading, as you see here, line number 23 lines up with the index line. So line number 23 is read as 23 thousandths of an inch. So this is the thimble reading. Now we can find the total reading. This is the main scale reading and this is the auxiliary reading. So the total reading is 0.398 inch. See that if we need the reading to become a little bit more, let's say 0.400, so we need 0.002 to achieve this reading. So what should we do? We should rotate the thimble in this direction so that the zero line at the edge of the thimble lines up with the index line. So in this case, the reading becomes 0.400. See that this example here, again, the zero line is below the index line. So now we are sure that this line is already seen to us. So we shouldn't read this line. We should read the line, which is the previous one. This is line in the dashed red. So this is the sleeve reading. It is 0.375 inch. Regarding the reading of the thimble, line number 24 lines up with the index line. So line number 24 is read as 24 thousandth of an inch. So this is the thimble reading. So the total reading is the sum up of these two values, which is equal to 0.399 inch. See that if we need the reading to become a little bit more, say for example it is 0.400 of an inch, so we should add or increase by 1,000th of an inch. So how we can reach this reading? Simply by moving or rotating the thimble a little bit in this direction so that the zero line lines up with the index line. See in this case, the zero line exactly lines up with the index line. So in this case, we are sure that the edge of the thimble exactly over line number 4. So in this case, we should read line number 4, this line. So this line is line 0.400 inch. So this is the sleeve reading or main scale reading. Regarding the thimble reading, the zero line lines up with the index line. So the thimble reading is 0 inch. So the total reading is 0.400 inch. So that's all about how to read the British or inch depth micrometer. If you see that this presentation is good, kindly you can subscribe to my channel and don't miss to click on the like button. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.